Hi guys, I've not done much recording over the last couple of days because we've been to big cities. Seville has been the latest one. Not that much of interest, but now we are somewhere very interesting indeed. We're about 7 miles north of Seville, on the road out to Merida. And, I'll just show you. I won't even say anything, I'll just show you. This is the city of Italica, and I'm standing in the shade because it's knocking on 30 degrees today, so it's pretty warm. This is the amphitheatre. Roman amphitheatre, held around 25,000 people. It is in remarkably complete condition. These steps where people sat have eroded a bit, but basically it's all here, including the pits underneath where both human and animals would have been stored waiting for their turn to pop up and do their bit to entertain the crowds. Now, the site itself, and it's not one I've been to before, so I'm very excited, is apparently quite extensive. It includes mosaics, houses, all the rest of it, so we'll have a wander round. But as an introduction, when you walk in, absolutely stunning. Yep, the tunnel network appears to be complete as well around the perimeter, which had also been used for shoving unwilling victims out into the public arena. Right, you can actually see the construction. So, strong stonework at the base, and then essentially Roman concrete above. And once the Romans fell, in Western Europe anyway, which is like 360 or something like that, I don't know, late 300s, the world forgot how to make concrete until the late 1800s. So it's amazing how knowledge can be forgotten. But there it is in front of you, Roman concrete. I think it was all to do with the baking of the lime that we forgot as a world. There's a rebuilt part of the wall that would have surrounded the town. Another one there. Apparently they were more symbolic than actually for defence, although they are quite deep. But more interestingly is down here, and I don't imagine it'll show up very well on the camera, but down here is a large tunnel which comes out and then disappears through another tunnel when it's full. And this is part of the sewerage system, and the town had an aqueduct which brought in fresh water to the wells, and not to the wells, to the fountains I should say, and the bathhouse. And then it was then excess and waste was then dropped down this hill we're about to walk up, down through the sewerage system and out into the fields below. So very well organised. And this is one of the main entrances. Roman towns being laid out on grid plans normally. And again, like the amphitheatre, it's very wide, very grand. Obviously this was a wealthy town. Lots of it was built by Hadrian, the man who built the wall, as we Brits all know from our history. But yeah, very grand entrance, very wide. So this was the public toilet, as you can probably guess from the keyhole shape on the stones in front of us. But again, indicating the wealth of the place, the public toilet floor was covered in marble and mosaics, one of which lies beneath us now, and it may be hard to discern, but basically it's dwarfs fighting with cranes, the birds' cranes. And the other thing it doesn't mention on the little board telling you about it is the dwarf on our left hand side here has a very large third leg, shall we say, to put it mildly, which is a common Roman thing. There's a famous mosaic in Turkey, Antakya, who has the same figure and is described as the happy dwarf. I'll leave you to draw your own conclusions as to why he was happy. Right, the last bit of floor we looked at I couldn't get talking because of loads of school children around it, which is fair enough, but I can on this one. So this is one house, and the top right mosaic is dedicated to the god Bacchus. I can't get closer sadly, but there are basically small squares showing animals, goddesses, etc, etc, etc. And then in the next one, which we'll get to in a second, well you can probably see it from here, is the labyrinth from Greek mythology. So obviously the Romans liked absorbing lots of Greek culture because they considered it of worth, and this person obviously liked it enough to build a mosaic floor of Theseus's labyrinth. Shame it's half in shade and half in light. This is the bathhouse floor with the god Neptune in the middle, or what's left of him. You can just about see his head and his trident, I hope, surrounded by a variety of sea creatures, including a crocodile trying to bite the bottom of a small person, and again a variety of pygmies or dwarfs, depending which way the Romans refer to them. They're referred to as dwarfs normally. Again, fighting cranes. Quite what the cranes have done to deserve this, I don't know, but there you go. We've got dolphins, a very literal depiction of a seahorse. Slightly surreal, to be honest, some of the depictions, but I suppose when you're in the bathhouse this was also entertaining to look at all the various stuff going on the floor. This section we're in now is basically the commercial section, so apparently private houses had small shops attached, this one being a bread oven. But also pubs, wine merchants, all the usual stuff in these small units. So the next mosaic, which is in a private house, is this mosaic of the birds with 33 different species of bird all laid out. Yes, amazing colours. So that's a parrot, obviously, isn't it, that one? And that's some sort, looks like some sort of pigeon. Yeah, and a duck. Yeah, duck on the right hand side. Some sort of water bird feeding up there.
There's an owl over there.
Yeah. A beautiful owl, in fact. Let's have a look. Right, another private house, and again very, very large, with a complete mosaic of the planets which are in the centre. The Sun is one of the 7 surrounding planets. The central planet to the Romans is Venus. The Sun's straight in front of us with the halo. And 2 smaller rooms. First one covered in mythical creatures by the looks of it. Centaurs. Various others. And a slightly less ornate one behind. And then in the same village, just at the other end, we have this very old monastery, which apparently has lots of features of architecture within, which makes it stand out from the normal Spanish ones. Some of that is going to be beyond me, I'm afraid, but we shall have a look. And it's also on the Camino route of the south to Santiago, the pilgrim route to Santiago. A symbol you see everywhere now in northern Spain. We did do the route, we didn't walk, we drove. Maybe 25 years ago, and very interesting it was too. Anyway, let's see if we can have a look inside. The doorway is a peculiar mix for a start, as it seems to be vaguely Islamic arch with the striped brickwork within what looks like an early Roman type arch. Anyway, let's have a look. Well, it's a rather impressive interior. This is the first chapel you see when you come in. It's massive and golden, along with the tombs of presumably, I was going to say tombs of people that have been connected to the church, and then more importantly for me, because this place dates back to 1301, it's tucked away in this little niche, is a medieval stone reliquary, which I can hardly pronounce. But anyway, a relic of a saint in a stone casket in a wall. And the next chapel, this one in front of us is just a small one, because the next chapel is equally huge. It's a weird place. It's almost cathedral-like in its size. So we've hopped out into the cloisters. The Cloister of the Dead, in fact, it's called, which is unusually, very unusually, decorated with an eclectic mix of basically painted plaster, tile work, some of which clearly dates back a very, very long time, but also then housed within arches with clear Muslim influence, which is why outside I'd said that I'd been told it was a right old mix, and a right old mix it is. The top of the cloisters, again, very Islamic in style, and to have decorated cloisters is, I can't remember seeing any before.
You see, you might look at that and think the perspective's shit on that, but actually part of what they were doing sometimes was saying this is the important bit. So the important bit is that.
Yeah, so concentrate on that, yeah. The lion has a very human smirk.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
Yes, it'll be very symbolic.
Very, yeah. Very, very...
I wonder who it's meant to be.
Well, that's St. Sebastian. I don't know who that is with the stone. Who's the one that... No.
No, the only thing I think is Francis had all the animals, didn't he?
He did.
It was never Franciscan, was it? So it was
No, it's Cistercian, yeah.
Look at the back, there's a little person in the field there.
Oh yes, and some deer on the other side of the tree. Amazing.
The colours are very vibrant, aren't
They are. So we're in what was the chapter house with a stunning ceiling and a depiction of the Last Supper, which is fairly common in these places. But then underneath on the frescoes, we have a depiction of dancing girls holding up what looks like a fruit. They may be angels, I suppose, but it's very, very unusual to have a depiction like that in the place where all the monks would have met to discuss religious items. So you've got Christian, which is clearly Islamic on either side, clearly done by the same hand at the same time. Okay, we've left Spain behind and we've come down through Portugal, through Castroverde, that way, Serpa, which I've done videos on before. And just over there is Faro, or Faro, depending on how you want to pronounce it, on the sea. And we're at yet more Roman ruins, this time this lot, which is basically from that tree all the way up to the White House and underneath the White House, was one person's villa. And then to the right, where the brick tower is with that tree, was a religious sanctuary, which was part of the complex. So, an extensive household. Anyway, I'm not sure there's going to be that much of it left to look at. The walls are fairly low, really, but we'll have a wander. So the temple was to a water deity, unspecified, and there was a pool outside, which was here, and you can probably just make out, let's go and have a closer look, that the mosaics were all of sea creatures. I'm assuming that's a shark because it has sharp teeth.
There's another one on the other side.
Let's have a look. There's another one over here apparently. Yes, there's a little bit left on this side as well. Again, we have our very sharp-toothed creature. So a pool on either side of the entrance steps into what is a relatively substantial building. Yeah, you could have a clamber about if you wanted to. Roman brick, very narrow, slim bricks with a bit of concrete on top.
It would be a huge building.
Yeah, it's massive. Considering it's only a sanctuary rather than anything else, it is a very large place. And again, spectacular views. The ancients of all descriptions, and including monks into the Middle Ages, all knew how to pick their spots, that's for sure.